Well, let's talk about Extreme Championship Wrestling. This should take even less time than SmackDown, except for a certain match, which I must just destroy verbally. We had Kofi Kingston and Kelly Kelly against Layla and Santino Marella in another
Jesus Christ, you're serious.
absurd matchup. Again, on paper, this card is not stacked.
I kept waiting. He came out one by one, and I kept waiting for any connection between any two people involved, and there was none.
None.
This match made no sense.
So, it was great to see Santino try and do Layla's entrance. I do have to give
That was
that.
awesome, yes.
We had the best, there were so many great things in this match.
Actually.
We had
My favorite part of this.
Kelly and Kofi doing a double drop kick, like they're the new Rockers.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We had Santino getting the heat on Kofi, and so Kelly was jumping up and down. Now, keep in mind, this is Kofi's partner. Her partner's getting beaten. She's jumping up and down, and she's clapping with a big smile on her face. And I was like, do you know whose side you're on?
She started off, she was just trying to get the crowd into it, like the baby face in the corner will do. And I didn't even notice she was smiling because it was Kelly jumping up and down, and that's all I knew. That's all I was aware of. And then Brian's like, why are you smiling? And I thought, oh, yeah, she's smiling.
She had no idea what was going on.
No.
And then Santino, this is the other best part of the match. It's a mixed tag, and it has to be guys versus guys and girls versus girls. So Santino is beating on Kofi, and they just tags his partner, which in essence, he made the hot tag for the man. So Kofi walked over and tagged, and Kelly ran in, and they had a horrible four-way, and then Kelly pinned Layla with the Fame Asser. And everybody cheered, and this was everything great and horrible about pro wrestling all wrapped up into one segment.
It was terrible. It was no good, but everyone had fun. It was wacky and goofy, and the crowd loved it, so I can't hate it.
Stevie Richards against Mike Knox. Stevie's won week after week. He had the video packages, and still nobody cares.
It's sad but true.
Mike Knox was undoubtedly part of the problem, but the only funny part in the match was when Knox threw him into the corner and screamed, "I'll show you, you'll see," and then Stevie moved, and I laughed. Stevie won with the Stevie T, and he milked it forever, and still nobody cared, and it was sad.
It is sad. I'm sorry, Stevie. I'm sorry, ECW. It's not working.
So then we had an awesome segment with Tommy Dreamer and Colin Delaney. Dreamer was giving him a pep talk. He said his injuries were starting to heal, and someday if he kept working, perhaps he could be a champion. You can't judge a book by its cover, he said. Even you could be a champion. And so Colin said, Tommy, you think one day when I become a champion I can have my own entrance music? And Tommy just stared at him, and they left the camera on them for like 10 seconds. And it was hilarious that Tommy Dreamer just stared at him for 10 seconds. And it was even more hilarious that in the 10 full seconds, not for a single second was Colin Delaney not still excited at the possibility of getting his own entrance music.
Yeah.
Even being stared at for 10 seconds did not deter him from his dream. This was awesome.
We cannot do justice to this, of Tommy Dreamer staring a hole through Colin Delaney as Colin Delaney giddily looks at his hero, Tommy Dreamer, and looks for some sign of encouragement. The only detail you missed is at one point, as Dreamer was trying to get Delaney riled up, he said he can do something. He said, remember when you hit Miz with that elbow? Which was the first offense Colin Delaney ever had, and Delaney stared at his elbow in awe. The power in my elbow, he thought.
Miz and Morrison versus Dreamer and Delaney. They, of course, got the heat on young Colin, who sells like no man you've ever seen. He's so awesome.
He is.
And he finally ran between Miz's legs and dove into the hot tag, and the place went nuts, and Dreamer ran wild on both guys, and then Miz bonked into Colin, and Dreamer DDT'd him for the pin, and yes, they get a tag title shot on this week's show, and I pray to God they win. This was awesome.
This was awesome. The other highlight was, you'll be surprised to hear that Dreamer started the match. Really, it's true. And as he's wrestling Miz, he hits the ropes, and his partner Colin Delaney blind tags himself in. And Dreamer got blind tagged, then knocked Miz down, but then turned around and Colin said, "What are you doing?" And Colin's like, I'm ready to go. I've tagged in. So Dreamer shrugs and says, "Okay." And he grabs the ropes, and he slingshots his own partner onto Miz.
Yeah.
Everyone goes crazy. Delaney jumps to his feet, surprised. He was not aware that his partner was going to slingshot him in. That caught him off guard, and then he was immediately cut off for the heat.
No, he did a drop kick.
He did a drop kick,
and then
right.
he was killed.
Then he was killed. But
yes,
he's phenomenal. Thank God for Colin Delaney.
And then they had an interview with Nitro and Miz, and they said they were told they were going to have to defend the belts next week, and they said, good, we'll show everybody why we're the champs. Then we had the main event, CM Punk versus Elijah Burke versus Shelton Benjamin. 3-way to determine the number one contender. Chavo was there to do commentary. Match started out fine and then died a horrible death. We had Elijah and Punk in the ring together when this occurred. Something got botched up. Now, I realize I'm not a WWE star. I realize that I've wrestled a few matches here and there, and I'm not, never been to WrestleMania or anything like that, but I've always sort of been told when you fuck something up, just grab a headlock. No headlock here. Nothing approaching a headlock. They fucked up a spot, and then both men apparently decided, I'm going to try and save this match. Epic fail.
Epic fucking fail.
They began botching. It was like I don't even know what the word would be to describe what this was. It was
a series of unfortunate events.
No, when you multiply something by something else,
exponentially
worse with each passing moment in this fucking battle, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse, and finally Punk drop kicked him outside. Shelton ran in and hit his finisher. He made the cover by the ropes, and Elijah was supposed to break it up, and Elijah didn't, so the ref just stopped his count. And that was right there. They should have just cut the broadcast. Match over. Okay, we failed. Just start over again next week clean. So they went to commercial. When they came back, Vince must have just screamed into the headset, stop fucking up, you guys. And they had something of a match, and then Punk pinned Elijah with the go to sleep. And so, yes, next week, coming off the heels of this battle, we get yet another CM Punk versus Chavo Guerrero match. What a way to kill a show.
We asked last week after the Ric Flair tag match why Elijah Burke was not on the show every week. Perhaps we know why. I don't know. Maybe it was his fault. Maybe it was Punk's fault. But neither one of them could recover. As you noted, they only dug their hole deeper and deeper and deeper.
Just Rich.
It was bad. I could only imagine what poor Shelton was doing at the ringside, trapped.
Just probably watching in awe.
Or he may have been awestruck at the calamity unfolding before him.
This was so much worse than anything. I mean, even if you go back to that Jackie Gata match, at least she was like an amateur geek.
Yeah.
These were two trained professional wrestlers, one of whom has been the champion of the brand, looking like worse than I've ever seen a match in wrestling school.
I mentioned the SmackDown match was embarrassing to watch. This was on the shame scale. This trumps it by leaps and bounds. I was cringing, and I got to the point where I felt bad for the guys because they couldn't get out of the hole.
Just grab a headlock.
They couldn't. For some reason, they were unable to do this, and I felt like there should have been a mercy killing. Someone should just come out and just zap them and put them down.
Tim should have come out with a cane. Tim Flowers
should come out with a Singapore cane, whacked everyone, and just put a stop to it.
Yep. Or Vince come out and say, stop this match. Where are the women?
Something. They needed to be put out of their misery, and there was no one there to do it, and so we had to watch them suffer. And that made us suffer.
This was bad. So, yeah, let's play one more song, and then we'll wrap up with the old Impact report here on the Brian DeVay Show.